Hi, this is Ayushi,
Hi, I'm Varnika,
Hi, I'm Preet, and you're listening to Just Bate.
and you're listening to Just Baat.
and you're listening to Just Bate.
Doors, I'm a fool for your love.
Hey guys, welcome back to Just Bate. My name is Aswin. Like always, I have Praatibh alongside with me. He's still a corporate slave. I'm gonna stick on to that until he quits or I get a job and I join the bandwagon. But you're the only person I know who is packed on the weekdays. So you go to work at 9, come back around 10:30 if I'm not wrong. And then you have weekends where you meet your friends. He hasn't met me in a while, but that's chill. But yeah, you're one of the only few I know who does this. So how did you figure out the balance to go to work but also know that you have a social life?
So for the first couple of months of my internship, everything was work from home. So that time stuff was sort of easier in a way because I could like just come work and then go and meet my friends, whatever. But now because I'm traveling to work, it's a lot tougher. Having said that, I think uh, eventually because of the routine, you kind of figure out when you have your free time and then you just plan around it. So yeah, that's what I do. So if I'd probably like on some days meet my friends at night itself when I'm coming back from work, and then there's always the weekend where Ashwin and I play cricket sometimes. But okay, we haven't played in a while. But yeah, I mean that's what it's all about, right? It's just a routine, and you sort of need to get used to it.
He's like a child
So,
because
yeah.
if you follow him on Twitter, he complains about buses, he complains about autos. He's really like a child. But moving on to the guests and the topic itself. So today we have a very special episode because we have three guests on who have started a very successful organization called Mind. And I know for a fact that they changed lives because I know they've changed mine, and I know a lot of people around me who use their service and it's changed their lives too. So they essentially provide pocket friendly therapy, but they are a lot more than that, and that's exactly why we call them here because I use the service, but we wanted to find out their backstory and how they started this in the first place. So Preet, Ayushi, and Varnika, thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you, Ashwin. It was really nice.
Hi.
Now, before we move on to the episode itself and ask you questions and pick your brains, so you three of you are friends. Praatibh and I are friends. And when Praatibh and I met for the first time, we didn't get off well. I mean, this was 16 years ago, so we were kids back then. And we fought and we didn't like each other. So, what were your first impressions? So, Ayushi, starting with you, what were your first impressions of each other?
I've known Preet since before college, just
Right?
a little bit because of mutual friends,
Mhm.
and I honestly didn't have, anything negative to say apart from she's really sweet, she's really friendly, very social, and I'm also like that. So when we went to Flame, it was just like, oh, we know each other from before, so we hung out quite a bit, and that's how I think we got really close.
Mhm.
And with Varnika, I think actually when I saw her around somewhere, when I met her, she was very confused. She was like she looked distressed. She it looked like she didn't have her life together at all. And it was a bit. So I didn't want to make too much conversation then, but then
Mhm.
we went for a college event together. We
Right.
came to Bombay, and
Mhm.
that's how we became friends. And then she stayed at my house, and then our moms became friends,
Right.
and then it just sort of kicked out from there.
That was a turnaround. Varnika, why were you so confused and why didn't you have your life together?
The first time I'm hearing this, so I had no idea
Really?
this was
Oh
your first
shit.
impression. Yeah.
So what were your first impressions of the other two?
So for Ayushi, I think the first time I saw her, so I met both of them in college. I didn't know them before at all. So I met Ayushi in one of our socio classes in the first year, I think the first month. And there's this other girl who she would always hang out with, and they just looked the same. Like I couldn't differentiate them from one
Right.
another. So I always got confused between the two. And then the fest happened, and we kind of got in touch. And for Preet, so for Preet, I was actually really scared of her because she was just she wouldn't really like speak to a lot of people, and she would walk around in her high heels in the first
Whoa.
month. Not every day, but
Right.
yeah. So I just thought she's, like a fashionista and she doesn't want to talk to anyone. But then I got to know her. I think we met at the gym a few times and then, yeah, we became really good friends. So.
This is so interesting. Preet, what about you? What were your first impressions?
So for me, I think, like Ayushi said, I knew her from way before,
Mm-hmm.
like in Bombay, I think since eighth grade. All I knew is that she was a crazy Justin Bieber fan because I met her at all these pop concerts whenever any band came to play, and her Snapchat is Bieber Girl. So, like, I was like, okay,
Oh.
she really loves
Right.
him.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we got really close in college. And with Varnika, my first impression was, someone who lives at the gym. Like, I literally, even if I went in the day and night, I think I would always see her there. And that was
Right.
our first interaction. And in terms of the three of us, I think we really started bonding when we started taking psych classes together.
Mm-hmm.
So that was when we actually started bonding and talking about like psychology and mental health. And yeah, that's how the friendship grew.
This is such a sweet story. That's
Interesting.
so nice, so wholesome. But Praatibh, this is a good segue to your
Yeah,
question.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is because you touched upon psych class and mental health. And what we were going to ask you is when did you first realize the importance of mental health? And was there something personally for you that sort of made you realize that, okay, this is important and this should be talked about? Stuff like that.
So I think mental health has always been important for me, like because I've been a psych student ever since school.
Mhm.
So I was a little more
Okay.
involved with the technicalities of it, and all three of us studied psych actually. So we've been in touch with the subject for a long time, and I think in school I mean, fortunately, I didn't really have that much of a chance to like really have people around me who were struggling with their mental health in my close circle. Like I didn't really
Right.
observe much of that. But I think in college was when, like there were people from everywhere and like everyone had different problems and different sets of their own issues that they came with. So as in when I started getting to know more and more people from different backgrounds, like, and that on a college basis, right? We're all living together, so you really
Yeah.
get to see
Right.
people
Yeah.
for each side of who they are. So I think, yeah, that's when like in hostel, like living together and kind of seeing the different issues people go through. I think that really made me realize that you really have to be there for one another, and mental health is really really important to take care of.
Ayushi, what about you?
Yeah, so I actually wanted to become a veterinarian first, and then I
Okay.
realized
Oh.
that it's a really long line of medicine, and I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to do that. But I wanted to become a doctor of some sort,
Right.
and I didn't want to do the general medicine. I've seen, so half my family is like family of doctors. I've seen how much they're still studying and all, and that's something I never wanted to do.
Right.
So I was like, okay, how do I still stay a little bit in touch with, the doctorate side of it and like all of that. And I'm just like a people's person. I'm super social. I get along with people, really well, and I love getting to know people. So it was a good space to get into. Psych was very new and upcoming when I was in the 10th grade. So I was like, okay, let's start studying psych. So I took psych, socio, eco in 11th, in the 11th grade.
Oh. Right.
And then I knew immediately after that I wanted to major in psychology. So I came to Flame, started majoring in psychology again, started meeting a lot more other people. It was, sort of like a cultural shock in a way because we met so many different types of people, and it was actually so fun too.
Right.
So I wasn't like intimidated or scared or anything. I was just curious to like know more about people, get along with them, speak to them, and then I realized that all of them have such different lives. They come with such different like problems or issues of good and the bad. And it was just and I realized if it was so diverse in such a small place like Flame, I could only imagine what it would look like, on the larger scale of
Yes.
things.
Right. What was your first conversation like? You were psychology students, and the pandemic hit. I remember our first conversation. It was an overnight. Of course, it's not, unlike Mind. We don't provide anything to anyone. We don't do good. So, but our first conversation was about, do you want to start a podcast? And he said yes. And overnight, we thought of the name. He thought of the name, and we just came up with this one night. And week down the line, we had this terrible episode. But then we started this like a week down the line in September 2020. We started this. You guys started this a month earlier, 2020 of August, if I'm not wrong. So, how did you guys come together? What was your first conversation like? And then, yeah, how did the small project turn out to be a business? But yeah, let's stick to the small project. How did you guys come together? What was the first conversation like?
And good homework, by the way. Yeah, like August 2020 was when we started. So literally, like we, you know, how everything was in lockdown, and we were back from college after our second year. We were back to our own homes and stuff, and everything was online, right? All our classes and we were just, and all of us have early morning classes for psych. Okay,
Right.
so it's just until like 12 that we
Okay.
have those classes, and then pretty much like the day is a little free, and then 1 or 2 hours here and there. So and we would always be on call, like we were perpetually just on call as friends, like just talking and for classwork and stuff. And then this one day we would just and we would like watch a lot of movies and stuff together, like psych thrillers, and then all of these, you know, split kind of movies and stuff like that. So this one day we were speaking, and we thought, you know, why not actually do something? How many more movies are we going to decode? Like, let's actually do something productive. We have the time on our hands. We want to make the most out of like the fact that we're all stuck at home. And we saw people around us, like our friends, families, like everyone was going through a lot of stuff, especially for some people. Like staying at home is not a fun and joyous experience, right? Like it can
Right.
get really stressful. So, and they just needed to speak to someone. And most times, you know, with therapy, like financial burden is a thing, right? Because
Yes.
each session is so expensive. College students don't really want to opt for it. So at first we just started out with an Instagram page, and you know, thought of psychoeducating people, destigmatizing the whole therapy availing
Right.
process. And then we thought, why not? You know, we are connected with a lot of psychologists with our internships and past
Oh, right.
experience. So why not create a network of.
But has there come a point? So even for us, there was a point where we were burnt out, but we had to do it because we told ourselves we had to do it. So Preet, starting out with you, was there a point where you were just burnt out and you had to show up and work? And so
Oh, so
how did
many a time.
and then how did you tell yourself that you have to work and get through this phase?
So I think that there have been multiple phases personally for me, because I also battle anxiety. Like, so I mean, for me, it was a very difficult process in the start. Like I have like these bouts, so I'm either very very motivated, or I just don't feel like doing anything. Like I struggle with that balance.
Yes.
We've all been there.
But yeah, now I think yeah, and I think now it's just time before you learn to gain control over it.
Mhm.
And I think luckily I have gained to learn control over it now. But there have been times where I've been super exhausted, tired, or I just wake up with my brain not functioning. I'm just like, I don't know like how I'm gonna do this. But it makes it easier when you have two of your friends and two other people who take care of it. So you can always like tell them that, oh yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I really can't. And if you guys could take over, I would really appreciate it.
That's
And yeah, I think we've done that for each other. So
Right.
yeah,
That's-
but some ways I think, yeah. No, go ahead.
No, go on. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was just answering your second part of the question, like how is it that I would deal with this burnout? I would just give myself that time and I wouldn't push it like at all. Like I wouldn't try and put myself in that mood. Like I'd rather not give anything like my half heart, and I would rather do it full heartedly when I have the capacity to do it, but I would never force myself, because I think that creates friction between me and my work, me and my members. So I just didn't force it at any point.
you did talk about how you didn't realize when it sort of picked up and like really started growing. At what point were you like, it's getting too much for us and we do need more people in the team? So was that a collective decision, and how was that conversation?
In August or 2021, so like when we
Okay.
basically hit a year of Mind, one of our most random reels went viral on like Instagram, okay? So we got like 3 million views and stuff like that.
Whoa!
And
That's awesome. Nice.
the reel was meet the founders, and there was a trend going on at that time. And each
Right.
video of the three of us is doing whack whack stuff. Okay, so
Right.
I am dancing, Varnika is like almost falling down, Preet is acting like very sophisticated and like very whack. Okay, like that entire reel was just a trend, and we thought, oh, it's been a year, let's do a meet the founders
Right.
sort of reel. And that picked up, and we started getting like crazy amount of DMs. And at that time we had no website, so everything was on like this one
Oh.
Google form that people would fill out, and then we would
Right.
get in
Oh.
touch with them. And at one point we had to take off that Google form because we were not able to respond that quickly.
Oh.
We had to literally put out a story saying that please be patient, we'll get in touch with you, because we would get like DMs non-stop. It was just like, I feel like that week for us was so stressful. We didn't know how to, like, we never thought the situation would come upon us. And so we were like, okay, you know what, our next story was we're looking for a client manager. And then we got in a lot of applications for that. And we, in like, I think in the next 1 or 2 weeks itself, we onboarded someone, we trained her, and she's still with us as our client manager. And she's
That's
doing,
nice.
Yeah, that's nice. That's really nice.
yeah, she's doing a great job.
To give us perspective, so before that reel became a hit, 3 million is a lot, by the way. But before it became a hit, so how many DMs did you get per week on average? And after that reel, when you decided all of this, how
Oh,
many DMs did you get per week?
we would get like 5 to 6 inquiries in a week.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and
Okay.
then it was like 20-25 a day. Like,
Whoa!
there were just messages flowing and flowing, and people liking all of our previous reels, our previous posts, and
Right.
Right.
reposting and sharing. And all of our friends kept sharing the founders
Mhm.
post after it hit like 1 million, and then 2 million, and then like 3
Right.
million.
Yeah.
Everyone was sharing that. So I think that was the switch, really.
Oof.
Mhm.
Yeah. The whole viral thing, right? Like that also came with a lot of negativity because people were like
Understandably so.
looking at
Yeah.
that reel and they couldn't digest the fact that okay, we are like actually doing something to help others, but we're also
Mhm.
having fun.
Right.
Like they didn't
Right.
understand that there's a balance. Like even
Right.
we have some kind of a life outside of this, and there were all sorts of comments and like really sexist comments also on the reel, and like literally each and every type of comment
Yeah.
you can imagine was there. And of course like that was a little demotivating, but I mean there was also a lot of like positivity flowing in, and then a lot of new inquiries, so we realized we're on the right track.
But Preet, what about you? So talking about milestones, like Ayushi said, what's one milestone that you're really proud of?
For Mind, I think it was the fact that we were able to come so far. I think this is the biggest milestone, come so far without any funding. I mean, from what we
Right.
started, we literally
Oh,
started putting
yeah.
2-3 thousand per person, and we've made this into a model that's just generating a decent amount of revenue.
Different like testimonials we get, I think, be it negative or positive, like when people have something to say about how we can improve, or people tell us how much of a difference we've made in their lives, like even by just offering this service and creating this platform. I think that makes us really realize why we started out in the first place. Like that's a reminder of literally the values why we started out. And I think also amidst the pandemic, Instagram was posting a lot of these, references to different startups and small
Right.
businesses for pandemic
Yeah.
relief. So the official Instagram page. So they also posted ours. Like this one morning, we wake up and we see we've been
Nice.
tagged to like official Instagram's account, and we were like, wow, okay, we made it.
Now, the last question from my side, it's going to be a two-part question on Mind itself. Now that you guys are sort of growing so much, where do you sort of strike a balance between business aspect versus the quality of stuff that you put out? Because I can understand, I could imagine that, scaling up would be a lot tougher, and also to get in more counselors and stuff. So is that a conversation that you guys have had, or is that something you're looking at?
So I think right now we are in conversation. Now that we finally got in the time to think about how we can scale the business, but we did give this a head start by dividing roles and responsibilities amongst the three of us. Since it was getting overwhelming for all three of us to be there in every discussion or make every decision because of it growing and scaling the way it is. So that's why Ayushi handles, as she said, the finance. She overlooks the finance part of it, and she also takes care of events and PR. Varnika manages marketing, including social media marketing, email marketing, all kinds of marketing, and even content to an extent. Like Varnika and I do content together. And I do HR, which is mainly the hiring and the recruiting, talking to new psychologists, onboarding them, and little bit of content with Varnika and product design. So any collaborative product or service or anything of that sort, I help with designing that.
Now, this has been a beautiful story the whole time, and I wish we could talk to you for a lot more time because, I could always pick your brains on things. But this is how we end our episode. So each one of you, are you a tea or a coffee person? We'll start with Varnika. Are you a tea or a coffee person?
I'm a black coffee person all day, every few hours, and then by night time I become a green tea person. I'm a fully coffee person.
Filter coffee. That's nice.
No. Coffee, fully coffee.
Oh,
fully coffee. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Not fully, but I like filter coffee as well.
Neither, if I'm being honest. But
fair enough.
Okay.
But what's your go-to
if I
drink?
really
Like if you
had to, peach iced tea.
But yes, Varnika, Ayushi and Preet, thank you so much for joining in and giving us so much time. It was beautiful. We love listening to stories, and this is one of them. So fun, guys. We'll obviously link their website and everything in the description below, so please go check that out. And yes, thank you so much for joining.
Yo, thanks for tuning into the latest episode of Just Baatein. We hope you enjoyed it and that it left you inspired. Thanks for all your support, and maybe you could support us just a little more by maybe going to our Instagram and Twitter and giving us a follow there. And also you can listen to us on all podcasting platforms, right from Spotify to Apple Podcasts to Google Podcasts. Cheers.